Hi everyone, my name is Angelina. I live in Montreal, Canada, and I'll be doing my poetry reading on Friday, April 23rd at 2 p.m. my local time, so 8 p.m. Europe, and then figure out your time in whatever country you are. So I'll read one sample of a poem, which I like to call more like poetic thoughts about things that I experience or go through. And it's about vertigo, which I experience every year almost during winter. So here we go. Sometimes my brain floats around the room and my body follows suit, unable to stand straight. My head is in the clouds. I've got to ground myself, they keep telling me. I look down at my feet, my toes digging into the earth. I'd like to plant my roots. I'd like to build a home and stay put. But I'm no tree. I'm like water. I might seem still for a while, but I'm always on the move, down the stream or up to the sky. There you go. Yes. Yeah. I think because I never used to write at all poems. I think I've always written in general since I was a child. But and so I kept a lot of journals. And there was a phase, I think, in 2014, 15, where I was going through kind of a heartbreak. And so I was writing a lot just on a journal. And I think a few years later, rereading them, I could kind of see these small pieces in my journals where it kind of felt like little poems or little poetic thoughts. So I just started kind of digging into my journals and just taking these small bits and pieces and then putting them in a doc. And for the first time, I was like, oh, these poetic thoughts. But it took me a while to say, okay, I do write poems. I have my style, but I do write poems. So yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
Do you show them to people or try and get them published?
For now, no. I feel like I do share with my family. I do share like on Instagram with people and friends, but I think for a long time it's mainly been my way of like expressing myself and a sort of coping mechanism. So I didn't really feel a need to really share it. Now I do share it, at a certain circle, more because there are like universal themes, and a lot of people, when I read them to people, they can relate. So in that sense, yeah, maybe one day, but I still feel like I need to write more, to get, before I can think about even publishing. Oh yeah, I have so many journals. I fill them very quickly, but and most of the time with like nothing. I don't try to write I don't like sit down and be like, okay, I'll try to write a poetic thought or a poem. It's really just whatever, and then sometimes something will come out of it. Or except if really I'm going through something and then it's like a sort of urgency, then that's it. But a lot of the times my journals are like filled with things that it's not saying anything more than what I did during my day or whatever. So yeah. Writing is definitely my like a passion that I do on the side for now, but I do hope one day to like commit more of a full-time thing to it, but all in due times. Also, I'm French, as some people can hear. So, but I do write instinctively in English, but it doesn't mean that I write perfectly in English. But I think it's part of the charm. It's not always like, my, I'll probably have a little errors here, but it's, but I think it's part of it. It's just, that's the way it comes. I have a few poems in French, but it's only if that's the way I really feel like to write it in French, but most of the time I feel like writing in English, which is very, particular of why.
That's very interesting.
I think it's because I when I was 17, I really started reading books in English. So I think just naturally I want to write in English more than I want to write in French. But yeah. And so it's mainly very personal, like things, themes, of like, love, heartbreak, grief, um, good and bad experiences, and then so that would be the main thing I would say, that it's very personal, but that people can relate to. But then I do have these, on the other side, I have these poems really about nature, where it's really about trees, about the ocean, about sunsets, and I think it's because nature is really where I kind of get, I get my healing basically. So I get my lessons from nature. So I love trees and I love water. These are the two things that kind of make me feel better. So I think, yeah, when I'll do the reading, there'll be a lot of personal things that's very, internal, and then some poems about nature. So this was one of my poem, and it was a short one. There's going to be much more very short ones or very longer ones that go deep within the human psychology or feelings that we all feel. So anyway, come April 23rd. I'm looking forward in talking to everyone.